Hello, FRL and TKL touchers, enjoyers of many layouts in the hobby. I am here with my review of the Crin TKL, FRL, the WRL, SRL keyboard. So yeah, this is a beautifully lovely keyboard that was designed by and it was run in December of 2021. But there will very likely be another round due to the fact that this is a pre-production prototype that was sent to me far too late. This was about 395 US dollars with any hard case as a no frills kit, and hopefully that will be ameliorated. It's got a 7-degree typing angle and an all aluminum design with no weight, and it really does not need one. Simple, nice, clean top mount design with a 20.5 millimeter front height, non-adjusted, and came with a anodized aluminum plate, but it came with some options. You could get a PC plate, carbon fiber plate. What was the other one? Yeah, that was it. That's all you got. And it came in rose gold, blue, black, and of course the color that you're seeing now, which is a beautiful burgundy, a C188 Pantone, which is beautiful. And it came in winkeyless and winky, with and without the flower. After much complaining, we finally got the without the flower variant. Now, the astute among you may notice that I am not in a very good psychological shape, and excuse me, uh, had specifically requested that I get inebriated for this review, and I have. So I am very inebriated, and we're gonna do the whole review like this. I have my notes over here on my other screen, so I'm not gonna miss anything important. It's going to be a little bit of fun, and I hope you guys enjoy that. So we'll pop right into the keyboard, and we'll start with the unboxing experience. I'm not pressing the wait. Is it recording? Are you record? It's recording. Okay. All right. Here we are with the keyboard, and to talk about the unboxing experience, I will keep it very short, very simple. It came in a box. I took it out of the box. It was therefore unboxed. There was no fancy packaging. There was no branded materials. There was no hard case, which for me was a problem. Okay. And for the price point that this keyboard existed, which is $395. Okay. For a 2-piece aluminum kit, at the very least, I expect a hard case. And there was not a hard case. Hopefully in the future, there will be a hard case. Now, we'll do our due diligence. This is a keyboard that was sent to me for review specifically, and I had the option of either mailing it back and paying for shipping or keeping it. I decided to keep it. Now, this keyboard went for $395, and I managed to get a $10 discount because there's a Anno splash right there. Maybe kind of hard to tell, but once you see it, you can never unsee it. So I managed to negotiate a $10 discount for that. So there you go. So the unboxing experience, not great. I've given all of my notes to excuse me, about all of the changes that need to be made, and he has been very perceptive. Now, before we get into the actual keyboard itself review, I'm going to put this in here so the timestamps kind of do him some good. I was unfortunate enough to try his previous keyboard, the nemui, and I typed on it, and it was bad. It was bad. It felt bad. It sounded bad. It looked bad. It was too expensive for what it was. And listen, I am an honest reviewer. That is what I do. So yeah, his previous keyboard was not good at all. This is a massive improvement, and the simple fact that I have paid for this out of my own money should say enough about how much I truly enjoy this keyboard. Okay? Okay. So we're going to move straight on into the external case review. So here we are with the actual keyboard, and we'll start off aggressively. Why not? So this is a nice board, and I truly do enjoy it. However, the front height is a little egregious, okay? And the non-adjusted front height, so just this disparity between the bottom and the very tip of the front is about 20.5 millimeters, okay? Just the tip is about 20.5. Yeah, that's about 20.5. However, if we consider the feet and the first keycap, which is referred to as adjusted front height, our adjusted front height is not so great. So our adjusted front height is about, that's like 24 millimeters. For reference, right there, about 24, if not more. That's kind of rough. That's kind of rough. So the front height of this when it comes to the typing experience is quite high. Now, if you actually practice good typing posture, which means you type with your hands floating freely above the keyboard and use the weight of your fingers to press the keycaps, then the front height technically doesn't matter, okay? It only applies to people that for some obscure reason put their wrist on the desk and like press the keyboard like that. If you're one of those people, just please get help. Call someone, get some help, okay? So the front height is aggressive, and a lot of the design aesthetics overall are aggressive. Now, over here in the front, we do have what we refer to in the industry as a pog chamfer. It's a chamfer, but it is thick and juicy, so it is referred to as a pog chamfer. And this is a relatively large pog chamfer. I haven't seen one of these since the Geonworks Frog TKL. And if we look around, we see like there's a decent amount of thickness to it, right? Now, for me, I'm an enjoyer of nice, clean Korean proportions, which generally means 8 millimeter top and bottom with a 4 to 5 millimeter side, okay? But in the case of this keyboard, what we're looking at is about, okay, that's not bad. That's about a 4 to 5 millimeter side. However, the top is, that's rough. That's about 11 millimeters at the top, and at the bottom, like 50. Okay, yeah, okay, never mind. That is 8 millimeters. Remember, guys, I've been drinking a lot, okay? That's 8 millimeters at the top, and this is how many monies? It is that many monies. So it is approximately 10 millimeters at the bottom, okay? You guys are gonna have to like, you know, bear with me, okay? I didn't want to do this, but you, excuse me, requested that I do the review like this. Now, before we tour through the rest of the outside, a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, Simon, do you like the keyboard?" Oh, Simon. Well, I paid for it. Okay, I got a $10 discount for something that should have had like a $50 discount, whatever. But it is a nice keyboard, and I really do like the layout. This is one of my favorite layouts in the world. I love FRL. Now, I am somebody that enjoys putting a keyboard on their desk and just putting random stuff behind their keyboard, you know, because I can. I don't care much for the left and right area that is afforded me by changing layouts, because like I like some area for my mouse and some area to put my, I don't know, my vape and my alligator. But you know, I like having a little bit of free space behind the board just to generally place my phone. That's what I do at the office. I'll place my phone here so I can see notifications, but if they're not notifying me, I don't care. And I do enjoy that. I do like FRL. You know, I very regularly will use navigation and main layer arrows for my work, but I will very rarely use F keys. And if I do, I can use a function layer and just do, you know, function F4 or function F5 or anything like that. So I do love the layout, and I did purchase this because I do love the layout. Do I think that this is the best FRL keyboard ever made? Probably not. But it is a perfectly adequate FRL, and I truly do enjoy it enough to spend big money on it. Okay, so now let's tour around the outside of the board. we'll start with the edges. And as I said, this is indeed a POG chamfer right there. That's a thick chamfer. And the styling is a little bit aggressive because you see, like, the sides kind of look thick, but they're not. Apparently, they're like 4 to 5 millimeter, which is kind of what I like. And the bottom is about 10 to 11 millimeters. The top is about 8 millimeters, but it seems like a lot more just in the aggressive styling of the board, which is cool. That's good. You want a board with a little bit of personality, a little bit going on, right? And when it comes to that, this is one of those boards. Now, obviously, it's a little aggressive looking. It's a little aggressive looking to most people, There's some sharp edges down here and some sharp edges down here. If you were to smack somebody in the head with this, it would leave a scar instead of a bump. That's the kind of board we're dealing with. But it is nice, okay? And if we look very closely, this is a seamless type board where this is the top and the top overlaps the bottom, which allows the bottom to create the angle, and the bottom, which then creates the angle, is a very clean, very simple design. Okay, it's got a little, obviously this is a very dirty board, so you guys have to deal with me. Now it's got a little bit of a curvature here, trying to just soften up the design a little bit, and that's great, so this curvature right here matches this curvature right here. That is very good design aesthetic, and I do appreciate that. Now, in terms of seamless design, the top, the bottom, they sit semi-flush. If you guys can tell here on camera, this does come up a little bit as it gets closer to the USB port, and then comes down a little bit as it comes down to the feet. And this is actually something I really kind of like. Let me zoom in so you guys can take a look at that. Now, this isn't just this very particular fillet or fillet, depending on whether you work in McDonald's or a CNC factory, but there is a tiny bit of a curvature here on the bottom, which I do appreciate. And when it comes to the top very simply sits on the bottom, and there is a simple exposed USB-C port, which is fine. Now, looking at my notes, this USB-C port allegedly, and I quote, "It is good, but not amazing because super big boy connectors won't fit due to the top ledge of the case." Okay, so if you've got some crazy stuff like this, like a Via Blue crazy connector, you might have some issues just getting it in the hole and not rubbing up against the side, if you know what I mean. Otherwise, it's pretty fantastically done. What I would have liked to see is a little bit of a wider radius here, and then maybe a 0.75 millimeter chamfer, allowing bigger connectors to fit. Okay, but it's clean. It's very clean. I do appreciate how clean it is, and it's clean on the side, and it is clean on the front. Okay, now if we are to look at the bottom of this, and again, I've been touching this for many months with my terrible, terrible hands, so you guys have to bear with me. This uses nice, big-ass feet. Big-ass feet. You can see some marks here from where Upas from Canon Keys forgot to ship me the feet for the prototype, and I use my own feet, and that's fine. That'll rub right off, okay? You're not going to have that problem because you're going to get the actual feet that come with the board. And the actual feet that come with the board are pretty good. They're very stiff. They are very, very stiff feet. Like, I can put a lot of pressure on these, and you can barely tell I put any pressure on them. These are nice, big, strong feet, and they're good. They work. They do their job. Just like these 4 mounting points. A lot of people will be like, oh, 4 mounting points. I'm afraid that's not enough. 4 mounting points is more than enough. 100%. Okay? It most definitely is. So I guess we'll open it up and go towards the inside. Did I miss anything? I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm trying really hard here. So there is no external weight at all. And for a board with no external weight, okay, for the record, generally a 65% or equivalent with no external weight is going to weigh approximately 1.23 to 1.25 kilograms, okay, fully built. And I base that off like the i69 by Illuminati Keyboards. This is nearly 1,800 grams. all aluminum, by the way, which we will dive more into once you see how thick the actual aluminum bottom is. So this is one of those boards where I can actually look at it and say, listen, it's a 2-piece aluminum, but it doesn't need to be anymore. This does not require a weight. In the hand, this is a very heavy board. And you would be surprised that there is no weight to it once I open it up. So anyway, let's open it up and check out the interior. All right, after spending 25 minutes trying to find the correct screwdriver for this, I have found it, okay? And this is apparently a M2.5. So there are 4 screws that hold the case together. And we will take a look at those screws as soon as we get them all out. And the nice thing is, you know, the anodizing is clean, it's simple. The reason why I didn't spend much time actually looking at like the external finishing is, of course, this is a pre-production prototype. So I can't really like judge a pre-production prototype at like in the same way that I would judge like a production run. This is going to be fine. I know the manufacturer for this, and they are a fantastic manufacturer that I have used in the past. So they're great. So 4 screws holding it all together, and let us obviously look at the screw review, the most important part of this channel. Okay. And it's got blocked by a bottle of whiskey. Give me a chance. All right, there we go. So here are the screws. These are very, very shiny aluminum. I assume these are 304 stainless steel, maybe 316, but very unlikely, probably 304 stainless steel. They look like they're electroplated. Generally, what I'm looking for is a little bit of gunk around the very front of a screw, but I'm not seeing that, which is good. It means that the threads are decently cleaned, and it means that the screws are brand new, which is what you love to see. Now, I'd love to see some knurling around the screws. That literally accomplishes nothing because you're never going to use your fingers to actually twist these screws. You're gonna use a screwdriver. So, in terms of screws, solid 8.5 out of 10. They would have been nicer if they had some features that are completely useless because I'm a weirdo. Okay, so here we are. You may notice that this is a very long board. Indeed, it is. It is a very long board. It's basically a TKL, but without, you know, a function row. So it is to be expected. And, you know, obviously this came in a wing key variant, but sorry, a wing keyless variant, but I was shipped a excuse me, wing key variant and with a flower. Now, I would have preferred a version without the flower and without wing keys, but due to the nature of this channel, where shipping this keyboard back would have cost $250 plus an additional maybe $100 to ship me a new unit, I would have been $300 down, and therefore I would have been better off literally just buying 2 of these keyboards. So I decided to just pay for this and keep it, to keep it as simple as possible. Oh, as I pull it away, we can finally see that there is indeed a daughter board in there, and I very nearly ripped the thing out of its socket. So let's just pull it out as we do. All right. So this is the bottom case. We're going to look purely at the bottom case first. Okay. First of all, we've got an AI03 spec USB-C daughter board using a standard JST cable with a relatively thick cable shroud on it, or whatever you call it, cable, whatever it's called. This channel extends a little bit longer than it needs to be, which may have some acoustic, you know, properties when it comes to pressing a key like this or a key like this, because that directly overlaps the channel normally. However, in a board like this, I didn't ever notice it. That is simply because the bottom is so unbelievably thick. So this is just solid. It's just a solid piece of aluminum. And this big old piece of aluminum is decently heavy. So this does the job that a brass weight would in a different case. Okay, so we see there is a JST. We see that there is a cover to it. Generally, in a board like this, I have no comments, because if the bottom was thinner and there was more open space, then I would suggest a shallower and tighter cable gutter. However, in this case, it realistically does not impact the sound at all. What we can also see is there is 0 alignment pillars. There's nothing. This is completely flat. This is completely flat, and it relies entirely on the top, basically holding the bottom snug. And there's a tiny bit of movement. The tiniest bit of movement, but once it's screwed in, that movement is gone. So that's totally fine. Okay. We see our 4 case mounting case assembly screws, and that's all we need to see. The finishing on the interior is just as good as the finishing on the exterior. Obviously, we can see my fingerprints because my terrible hands are terrible. Here, watch. Okay, well, I guess I'm too drunk to like secrete like sweat fluids. All right. The bottom we've pretty much covered. There's nothing much else. There's a daughter board there. This daughter board will not be changed between this and the production run. There's nothing wrong with the daughter board, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the cable. Maybe there's a little bit of space to shorten this, but I don't think it's realistically going to affect the typing sound, the typing feel, or anything relevant in the least. Okay, so next we're going to look at the top. Okay, we're going to look at the top, and looking at the top. First of all, this PCB is green and terrible. And wait, let me refer to my notes. PCB traces / switch pads are not robust enough to survive even a single desolder in my case. And I reported this to excuse me, and Upas of Crin, who has assured me that the production run will not suffer from the same issues. Those issues being, I have managed to kill 2 traces between basically the bottom pin and the diodes. The very, very small run here were destroyed by me literally desoldering it once with the same gun at the same settings that I used to desolder a Pro Micro earlier in the week. So like, it's not a me problem, it's a PCB problem. Another one here, same problem, bottom pin, it's a diode. So there's a small little trace that goes between the diode and this pin that is very, very, very sus, okay? And they promised me that they would fix it for the production run, and I do believe them. I knew, I just broke everything. I literally just turned off my camera. Okay, so I was told by Upas of Crin that this would be solved, and I do trust Upas. He has a history of doing the right thing, and I do appreciate that. So this original PCB on the pre-production version was terrible. However, hopefully you will not suffer any of the misfortunes that I have had. Okay, this should work with VIA natively. Hopefully, excuse me, can put out a VIA-L firmware, because I have been enjoying VIA-L because it has tap dance, it has larger macros, it has the capability of actually being recognized without being on the repository, stuff like that. Anyway, PCB, from my experience, was terrible. Another terrible, terrible thing of the PCB is it's not an 18 mega. So it's not a 32U4 or a 32U2. It's actually an ARM. And this is one of the first times I've ever built with an ARM MCU. And for most people, this shouldn't affect much of anything because it's going to come pre-flashed. But if you do want to flash it, so if it comes with VIA and you want to flash it with VIA-L, or you want to flash it with QMK, that's a little problematic, because you can't just use, flip, Atmel flip, or a very easy over-the-counter utility, and you might have some difficulty. It may be able to work just fine with QMK Toolbox, but if you use QMK Toolbox, you've got bigger problems to deal with, okay? All right, so that's the PCB. It came in a solder-only version. It connects via JST to the daughter board, fine. I hope that the production board looks a little bit better than this green PCB and doesn't literally die for no reason. That would be lovely to see, okay? Now, We can see some very obvious hook marks, but again, this is a prototype, so I'm not really going to be a dick about it. It's fine, okay? We can see the mounting points here, and on the bottom we've got one here. So this one aligns to the left Windows key, and this one aligns to the left Alt, and this one aligns to the bottom arrow. So we've got one mounting point here, one here, and one here, and that's honestly kind of fine. However, if I do press really hard in the corners of the board, I can feel a little bit of flex using my polycarbonate PCB. Sorry, polycarbonate plate. Now, the majority of people are going to get the stock aluminum plate, which is what will come with it. Hopefully, in future versions, you'll have the option of choosing what specifically you would like to get. What I'd like to see fixed is, in terms of mounting points, this come a little bit closer to the edge, this come a little bit closer to the edge, another one added here, and then you're pretty much good to go. This can stay where it is, okay? The mounting points for the bottom are fine. The mounting points for the top are, this sits on your 1 key, this sits on your 7 key, well, between 6 and 7. This sits between your 9 and 0, and this sits on your page up. Or, pardon, your home. So you got one here, you got one here, you got one here, and you got one here. Totally fine for the top. The top of this keyboard has felt relatively good, and I have been enjoying it. Like, from a feel perspective, this board thus far has been quite good. Now, what we'll do is we're gonna unscrew all of these, and of course that's not gonna work, because why would you use the same screw everywhere and make life easy for everyone? Apparently not, because fuck me, that's why. All right, luckily I happen to have a screwdriver that is also too big. Okay, well, let's do some hunting. Is it an M2? It is indeed an M2. Okay, so the external screws are 2.5, and our internal screws are an M2. For those of you that don't know what an M2 is, it is the exact screws used for screw-in stabilizers. Now, on the topic of screw-in stabilizers, I had a very interesting thing on this prototype PCB. And that was, I built the original board with screw-in stabilizers because Upas of Canon Keys had sent me screw-in stabilizers, which traditionally I would never use because I use clip-in stabilizers because they're faster, easier, and they're not problematic. So he sent me clip-in stabilizers. And interestingly enough, when using screw-in stabilizers, they actually shorted this prototype PCB so badly that it wasn't even recognized by my computer as any sort of device. Hopefully that is something that will be fixed in the production run, but that is a very amateur mistake, okay? I haven't had an issue like that with a PCB in like fucking 5 years. So there's still a lot to do with this. And yes, I do understand this was a prototype, but you know, I mean, prototyping a PCB does cost quite a lot of money. So you may as well prototype something that you know is decent before you actually, you know, move it to a production run. I don't know, that's my take. Again, I really do like this keyboard, but my disappointment has been disappointed at the very least. The PCB on its own has been very, very, very bad. And I understand that this is a prototype PCB and it was hand soldered, so I shouldn't expect everything to be perfect. But hand solder or no hand solder, traces shouldn't die for no reason. And also, you know, I should be able to use screw-in stabs without the entire literal board dying. So I initially thought that this board was completely dead. So I sent it to a friend of mine who luckily had the brain power to just remove the screw-in stab. And he's like, "Oh, Simon, it works now." I was like, "Oh, okay." So anyway, for the plate, I'm really not going to take the caps off this beautiful GMK bread because there's nothing going on. It's a standard plate. Like, I can pull off any key and it's going to look exactly like it should have on a standard plate. So let's take out this 8 key right here, and it's flat. There's nothing going on. There's no meme cuts. There's no flex cuts. There's nothing weird going on. There it is. That key is the same. Let's look at the backslash. We got a tiny acoustic cutout, but you know, that's not really doing much anyway on a polycarbonate plate on a board like this. So it's a fairly, you know, no frills plate. They're doing the OG OTD 360C CL type plate cutouts here, where normally they would put a big controller. And this actually accomplishes nothing on a modern board. It even acoustically doesn't do much of anything, but that's fine. Okay. So that's the plate, that's the PCB. And if we look at the top case, again, we can see the 4 points at which the case comes together. Obviously, there's some dust on the inside and some sussy-wussy stuff on the inside. But we can see those hook marks right there. You guys see that hook mark right there? The hook marks are kind of rough. Obviously, on a production run, they shouldn't be so bad. So fairly simple. The case walls are thin, but they're not thin in such a way that they impact the acoustics in any way. The board still sounds great, and I kind of do enjoy it. The mount points we kind of covered when looking at the plate for the bottom and the top. One thing to note is the depth of these mount plates, how deep that is. Generally, you don't see plate mounts go this deep into the top case, which makes sense until you look at the depth of this top case. Now, normally a top case will be about that thick. And if it's about that thick, then it matches up almost perfectly with where these mount points actually will be. So the mount points are well done, okay? And going back to what I said in the beginning of the video, I had previously tried one of Butchu's keyboards, which was the nemui, and it was not good. It was not good, okay? It felt very, very, very stiff for its mount points, and it sounded really bad for its assembly. This is a massive step in the right direction. So far in the right direction that I was willing to purchase this board and keep this board and enjoy this board as an FRL enjoyer. Okay. Now, there isn't much to gawk out about here. I mean, we can see the ledge. The ledge is fairly simple. That's where the top fits into the bottom with something like a seamless keyboard. So with a seamless keyboard, we don't have to worry about, alignment pillars or anything like that. It simply fits in the hole and just closes shut. And there's a tiny little bit of movement, which is to be expected because tolerances are a thing until you just screw it together. So fits together quite nicely. All right. One thing I didn't cover was this flower. This flower came filled. Originally, had this as the only option, and you just couldn't get a blank area like this. And I complained, and I complained, and I continued complaining, and then I complained some more, and then he finally gave people the option. So when he does rerun this, there will be the option of either having the flower or not having the flower, having wing keyless blockers or not having wing keyless blockers, and hopefully have a polycarbonate plate as a default option instead of being forced with a aluminum plate. But overall, that is the board. Like, the design is a little bit aggressive and the front height is a little bit high, especially when considering the adjusted front height. But I do enjoy it as an FRL enjoyer. The plate, the mounting feels fine. The pre-production PCB was atrocious, but hopefully the production PCB will be significantly better. So you guys won't have to deal with that. The layout support is relatively good because it's not hot swap. You can actually solder what you want. So, you can even go ISO. You can do some funky stuff, which is nice. It's good. The mount points on the top are fantastic. The mount points on the bottom can be a little bit improved. And when it comes to my advice for the sound and feel tuning for your build for something like this, if you're going to be buying a version that is beyond the production version of this, I can't give you much advice. But if you are actually buying a production version of this, I do recommend that you get a plate of your choice. So I hope that you got polycarbonate or carbon fiber or, okay, that's it. Yeah, polycarbonate or carbon fiber. Something I did enjoy was a nice deep sounding switch. So I went with some Milky Top Gateron X, which are quite a nice switch, very smooth, very nice to bottom out on. The weight is not super aggressive, and that combined with a full fat polycarbonate plate has actually been really, really nice. And considering how little play or how little room there is at the bottom of the board for flex, there isn't that much flex. And that's not a bad thing, okay? Now, a lot of people in the hobby will show off flex, right? By just by, give me a second, by just pressing super, super hard, like putting like 30 pounds of weight on it and be like, oh, look how much this flexes. Nobody puts 30 pounds of weight when they actually type, you know? When it comes to the actual typing experience, what matters is how soft the bottom out is. It has nothing to do with flex in the way that most YouTubers show it. But from day-to-day use of using this board for like a total of like 5 or 6 weeks every day, it was good. It was not harsh on the bottom out. There wasn't a stupid amount of flex because I wasn't pushing down like, 20 kilos of weight. I was typing normally. And typing normally, it was quite comfortable. And I do really enjoy this board. All right. Now here's the deal. We're going to do a typing test of this board in its current configuration, after which I will give you guys my summary, and then we'll end the video. Okay, this is literally my 4th attempt at shooting this part of the video, and I'm not going to cut this part out, just so you guys know how bad I've screwed up. So, those of you that skip to this part of the video are not going to know what it feels like, or what it sounds like, or what the internals are like, or what my suggestions are for improvement. I strongly recommend you actually watch the video. So, this is a keyboard that I truly enjoy. I truly enjoy it so much that I bought it for retail price. Okay, it is a lovely FRL. It does have a quite high front height, and if you practice improper typing posture, you're not going to have a good time. However, you're not going to have a good time with any keyboard anyways. It is a nice keyboard. However, at the $395 price point, I wish it was about like $30 to $40 cheaper personally. Or at the very least, at the $395 price point, offer me a hard case, because this literally just came in a random box. So that is something I would like to see massively improved. This has come a long way from Butchu's previous design that I had tried. And this is a large step up from his nemui. This feels good. This sounds good. He managed to actually make a good keyboard. Would I consider this a great keyboard? No. This is a good keyboard, but I, as somebody that truly enjoys the layout, really enjoys this keyboard. If you like FRL, and if you skipped the part in my video where I explain why FRL is good, then I don't know what you're doing here. Why would you like go this far into a YouTube video and literally just skip to like the summary? You don't know what I've said. Maybe I'm lying to you right now. Anyway, this is nice. I do like it. I do like it enough to not only buy this, but if all of the improvements that I've suggested get actually changed, then I would actually consider buying the next variant in addition to this keyboard, because that is how much I really like this layout, and that is how much this is an improvement over Pachu's last design. So yeah, I'm probably missing a lot of things because I've had a lot of whiskey and a lot of beer for this review, and I've probably missed a lot of stuff. But listen, this is what Pachu requested, so this is the video now. It's been a while since the last, YouTube review, and the very observant among you could probably tell that we are in a completely different room. Yeah, so we moved, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why it was delayed. Another reason was because I've been losing hundreds of dollars per video, and it's kind of not been worthwhile for me. But Patreon's helping with that. So if you see this on YouTube and you're not in the Discord, hop into our Discord and just come hang out. Learn a thing or two. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, I guess, unless I forget some really, really important part of this video, then I'll record it and put it after this portion. And yeah, peace. However, if you practice proper typing posture, you're chilling. You don't have I'm using the wrong fucking microphones! God, I'm so bad at screwing. People wonder why, I get no fucking action. Jesus. I spent, literally 30 seconds trying to screw that and just failing at it. Jeez. Alright. At the very least, can I put it in the hole? Can I put it in the hole? Come on, just fucking get in the hole, dude. Fuck. How am I so bad at putting it in the hole? Okay, do I have to flip it? No, I'm just failing. How am I failing so hard? Just get in the hole. Just get in there, bro. Just shove it up and... Ah, yes. Yes! I cannot believe I am not recording right now. Oh my god, I need... Fuck! Fuck you, you little fucking bitch, falling over like that. Fuck you, eat my ass, little bitch.